Welcome to a beautiful blend, post-Soviet romanticism and the energy of a modern, cosmopolitan city in the heart of Europe. This is a city of 3 million people, seventh in Europe, featuring its own distinctive culture. You get everything in Kiev, and I can't wait to share with you guys the travels through Kiev, Ukraine, starting right here. You can expect architecture of the times of Soviet Union, churches, monasteries, of course, borscht and chicken Kyiv in almost every restaurant. Even more, Japanese rolls, Italian pizza, Vietnamese pho, Asian stir-fry is a must to give it a try in here. Friendly people, historical places in every corner in the city center, a bunch hidden from the eye spots, and many more. Let's start our adventure with the top 10 things to do in Kyiv on your upcoming visit. A reconstructed medieval getaway that was the magnificent entrance to the capital city dating back 1037. A statue of Yaroslav the Wise is beside the gate, and the reconstructed gate gives some idea of what the outer walls and fortress of the city would have looked like in the Middle Ages before the Mongol invasion. In the 11th century, Kyiv faced the threat of invasion by a nomadic tribe that had stationed itself outside the city limits. Yaroslav managed to defend his city in the fierce battle that followed by proceeding to increase its protection by building new fortifications around the area. As a part of his plan, the Golden Gate, or Zoloty Vorota, was erected and served as the main ceremonial gateway to the city. Saint Sophia Cathedral, Holy Wisdom of God Cathedral. Saint Sophia in Kyiv is a Christian cathedral in the center of Kyiv. It is a monument of Ukrainian architecture and monumental painting of the second decade of the 11th. This is one of the few surviving buildings of the Kievan Rus time. This is one of the most important Christian shrines in Western Europe, the historical center of Kyiv metropolis. The cathedral is named after the 6th century Hagia Sophia, Holy Wisdom, cathedral in Constantinople, present-day Istanbul, which was dedicated to the Holy Wisdom rather than to a specific saint named Sophia. One said that Yaroslav the Wise sponsored the construction of the Saint Sophia Cathedral in 1037 to celebrate his decisive victory over the nomadic Pechenegs. According to Dr. Nadia Nikitenko, the cathedral was founded in 1011 under the reign of Yaroslav's father, Grand Prince of Kievan Rus Vladimir the Great. Khmelnytsky was a Cossack who led a rebellion against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, leading first to an independent Cossack state and ultimately to union with the Russian Empire. He is generally held to be a national hero and the founder of Ukraine, and the monument to him occupies a key spot in Saint Sophia Square. The equestrian statue by sculptor Mikhail Mikeshin on a granite base by architect Vladimir Nikolaev was installed on July 1888 during the celebrations for the 900th anniversary of the baptism of Prince Vladimir Sviatoslavich, later Saint Vladimir the Great. The Independence Square Майдан Незалежності is the central square in Kyiv, the main and the most beautiful one. Parades, concerts, festivals, and other city arrangements and holidays take place on this square. It contains 6 fountains, Independence Column, an artificial waterfall. The site of Independence Square used to be the border of Kiev fortified with defense ramparts. Archaeologists also found all parts of a watermill there. The first large stone building was constructed on the place in the middle of the 19th century. It was designed by architect Beretti and housed the province nobleman assembly. In the 20th century, the square got its modern look. Borscht is often considered the pillar of the Ukrainian cuisine and definitely is the most famous dish served in every corner of the country. Many Ukrainians argue that the iconic soup should be only homemade. Borscht is a vegetable-based soup made of beetroots, cabbage, tomatoes, potatoes, and dill. Sometimes meat or fish is added to the dish. Borscht has been one of the main dishes on Ukrainian cuisine way back since the 14th century. The word borscht originates from the Proto-Slavic language, while borscht comes from the Yiddish. In any case, the name appeals to hog wheat, which used to be the main ingredient before it was replaced with beetroot. Apart from the classic Ukrainian red borscht recipe, where beetroot gives the soup its recognizable color, many Ukrainians also love green borscht, where the main component is sorrel leaves. It is often served in summer and considered a light dish. Red borscht is traditionally served with pampushki, small fluffy buns often sprinkled with garlic and dill. Flaky dough with sweet taste helps to enhance the taste of borscht. Lighting up the picturesque banks of the Dnieper with the shine of its golden domes, the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra is one of the best known and most popular of the capital sites. In any weather or season, it remains an attractive destination for thousands of visitors, making an equally powerful impression on both locals and tourists. For the former group, the Lavra is a powerful spiritual landmark, the most honored Orthodox church in Eastern Europe. The latter, it is a unique cultural monument recognized by UNESCO. The Lavra's history began in 1051 when the monk Antony settled in a nearby cave on the hill. His followers came to the Dnieper soon after. They enlarged the underground cloister, and when it could no longer accommodate all of the monks, they started to construct a temple above ground. That is how the future Lavra's main temple, the Cathedral of the Holy Dormition, appeared on the territory. At the same time, the Trinity Gate Church was built above the gates of the main entrance. The church still stands today, and it is now famous for its original frescoes and beautiful altar. proudly over the Kiev skyline is the 340-foot-tall stainless steel Soviet motherland statue. Originally intended to be even taller, the sword of the statue was cut because it was higher than the cross of the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra, a renowned Orthodox Christian monastery. She ranks 18th on the list of the world's tallest statues. The statue is part of the Museum of the History of Ukraine in World War II until the law changed in 2015. It was known as the Museum of the Great Patriotic War, and standing on top of the hill, she is the piece de la résistance. The entrance to the complex is typically Soviet, bold, large, and imposing with sculptures depicting courageous struggles against German invasion, Nazi occupation, and of course, the devotion of the partisans to the party's cause. Being at the bottom of Rodina Mat, one simply feels overpowered by its presence. Just like the Statue of Liberty, it's one of those pieces that makes one admire humans' ability for engineering and architecture. The park is well kept and also a good example of Soviet monumentalism. The Motherland Statue and Museum delivers a very emotional journey through wars from old and very recent conflicts. There are real artifacts from the wars, with video stories as well as in-depth descriptions of what happened during some very awful times. Behind that, 12 giant halls walk the visitor through every nuance at the stage of World War II, a war that killed more than 8 million Ukrainians. While the focus is still on World War II, the huge foyer out front has been turned into a shrine of sorts to victims to the war in the East, with revolving exhibits telling the story of Ukraine's all too contemporary conflict with Russia. The cool, quiet halls are a somber testament to the gravity of the conflict, with a plethora of ornaments, both Russian and German equipment, artwork, models, and propaganda. Bewildering promenade of sculptures surrounding the museum depict the defense of the Soviet border from the 1941 German invasion, resulting occupation, resistance, and the epic 1843 Battle of the Dnieper and Battle of Kiev, one of the war's largest operations involving more than 4 million combatants. The world has no shortage of museums devoted to the military actions of the Second World War, but rarely has such a collection so singularly told the story of their fighting men. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise man at the end know dark is right, because the words had forked no light in they. Do not go gentle into that good night. Good man, the last way by, crying how bright the frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. While the man who caught and sent the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave man, near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your own fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.